Awesome. Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining this awesome celebration. Today, we're celebrating two authors who have joined the author club. Hello and welcome. Congratulations, Kent and Tanya, for your accomplishments. We're so excited for you. Yeah, so my name is Sydney Jackson-Clockston, and I'm the owner of Citrine Unlimited, LLC, and also Stardust and Co. Publishing. And I've had the pleasure of working with the amazing Tamara. And Tamara, why don't you introduce yourself and what you do?
Thank you. I'm Tamara Cribley. I'm the owner of the Deliberate Page, and I work with independent authors. So I started in this business formatting, and have grown into offering publishing, self-publishing support services. And I had the pleasure of meeting Sydney a couple of years ago in a small business class that I took with her, or that she was hosting, she was teaching. And so we've really grown to be able to collaborate on this project, which I'm really excited about.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. And I forgot to share, I do a lot of coaching and consulting, and I myself am an author. And I went through my own journey of becoming an author and dealing with a lot of imposter syndrome. That's something that I actually wrote about in my first solo book, was this feeling of self-doubt. Because I have a learning disability, I'm dyslexic. And so I grew up where a lot of people put me in a box of, oh, she can't do this, she can do this. Oh, you shouldn't tell people you have a learning disability, they'll think this about you, or whatever, whatnot, right? And so the book was a chance for me to, from the coaching aspect, to share with others some practical advice on how to overcome self-doubt. But then it was also, I kind of love saying my middle finger to anybody who ever doubted me. And like, no, like I could do this and I figured it out and it's possible for anybody else. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. And I'm really excited before we dive into getting to hear from each of our authors. Tamara, I'm just curious, we've been working together for a while, and you've been helping authors get their works published, like formatted, and you'll connect them with an editor and anything else that they may need to actually get published. What pushed you towards wanting to work on a project like the Nudge to Write?
I work with these amazing authors. I have clients from all over the world, and I've been doing this for about 10 years. But something that I learned, within the first few years is that the publishing process is really overwhelming. Writing a book is a tremendous challenge and a huge accomplishment. And so as an author, a lot of people feel like they've reached, it's written, I can publish it now. And that process can be so overwhelming, and there's so much different information and a lot of misinformation or information that doesn't apply. And so what happens is my authors would reach me and they would have all of these missing pieces, and they didn't know exactly how to get to where they were hoping to be, or they didn't have the right information, or they ended up spending a lot of money on things that they didn't need to or that weren't right. Um, and so over the years, I developed the publishing support services that I offer. But the part of it that I don't do is the writing part. I don't help with that. And I have a lot of people who I meet who are like, oh God, I really want to write a book. I have the story in my head and I just someday. And I think that with not just with your writing, but with your coaching skills and your ability to help people kind of overcome those mental blocks, those personal challenges, we had the opportunity to do so, to take authors from this idea, this goal, this dream of wanting to actually write, to not only writing and learning about being published, but actually publishing. Like, that's what's so cool about this workshop, is that Tanya and Kent are both published. Um, and it's an opportunity for them to now demystify the whole process and actually start on their own personal journeys and their own personal projects.
Yeah, I really, really appreciate you sharing. And especially because I know myself, like you were talking about that writing aspect, even though I've self-published myself, and yes, it's very, um, I can say a lot confusing in some
Yeah.
aspects, which is really great is with what you do. But the writing piece I love is that I'm able to come in and like support folks with that mindset too. And not everybody has a mindset issue, but there are a lot of folks who do. And I like how you said that maybe one day I'll get to it. And so what excited me about our format for this was that we actually, are like, no, you're going to not just learn how to do the thing, you're going to walk away actually published. And so, yeah, congrats to the now authors. I'm really excited. Before we dive in with meeting the authors, was there anything else that you wanted to share regarding our project or anything before we bring up our first author?
Only that we have the next workshop coming up in September and October, and I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, I'm excited too. And that info can be found on your website, deliberatepage.com/workshops
Yes.
within that. So yeah, anybody out there wanting to hop in on the next one, you'll not only learn how to write and how to self-publish, but you'll actually do it and have an end result that you can hold in your hand tangibly and share with your friends, family, and community. So yeah, why don't we dive in and talk to our stars for the afternoon? Up first we have Tanya. So Tanya, thank you so much for being here and just for being awesome. It was a pleasure having you. I know Tamara and I both loved having you in the workshop. Before you read your excerpt, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Just like, who are you? And maybe what was this writing journey like for you?
Well, I am a retired system engineer. I am an empty nester of 5 children, adult children, grandmother of, well, we won't say how many grandkids we have. We have a lot. Um, and, you get so accustomed to chasing those, when you're younger, you're a mom, you have a career, you have all of these things that you need to be doing. um, I thought retirement was going to be I can do whatever I want. Well, I kind of lost my identity at that point. So this is me trying to find it again.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. Um, with that being said, why don't you go ahead whenever you're ready, start with your excerpt.
Um, okay, I'm just going to read a piece of um, the main. Yeah, I had trouble with my words. That's why I write. um, but anyway, now about that elephant in the room. If I can use my mouth here. I hear you. Your voice is faint and distant, but I know you're there. Yours is the voice for which I listen in my time of need. You're a comfort to me. Your words are those of encouragement. I hear you, but I do not see your face. I do not know who you are or where you are. You're not near me, but I know that you're coming. These days I'm lost, unseen. I'm desperate to find my purpose in life, but it eludes me. I swog through days, weeks, even months, looking for answers that will not come. I occupy my idle time with unfulfilling activities. I find little pleasure in them. My days sap my energy. I tire quickly. My motivation is low. At night, though, I toss and turn, dreaming of things I cannot accomplish, haunted by memories I cannot change, longing for the confidence I once possessed. I tell myself I'm a writer, I'm enough, but I shun my affirmations and sabotage my progress. Then you reach out to me, and I'm comforted. My mind calms, and I write for a while, enjoying the tranquility of unhindered creativity. There was once a time when I was blessed with self confidence, motivation, and energy. Those were my important years, my useful years, my successful years. I had, I had a clear purpose then. I thrived in my society's defined value system. I often found myself pondering my dilemma. I'd been looking forward to retirement, but what does one do when one has aged out of her society's values. I no longer have a successful career. My children are grown and no longer need me. My contributions to the household finances are minuscule. What is my worth then? All of those things that previously defined success were behind me. I needed to redefine my own system of values. What better way to pull myself from the depths of self-pity than a trip to the coffee shop and a bout of retail therapy? The weight on my shoulders lightened in anticipation of the day of exploration ahead. Today, something magical could happen. It's a gorgeous spring day in Texas. My daughter and I decide to explore a town near her home that I've never been to before, being only a semi-annual visitor there. It's small enough that we can park the car and walk all over the cozy borough. There are so many fun, unique shops, antique shops, clothing stores, thrift shops, restaurants and coffee shops, retail heaven. I am waiting for you. The voice in my head is soothing. I should question my sanity, but I don't. I just listen. Draw it in like a breath. It lingers there, warming my heart. A whiff of espresso and steamed milk pulls me from my thoughts. My daughter and I follow the scent to a charming little cafe on the corner. Is there a more invigorating aroma than that of rich, earthy coffee? Perhaps the bitter flavor of espresso, smoothed by the silkiness of milk, would be a worthy contender against my racing mind. Taking in the scenery, my writer's mind summons pages of mental commentary, of prose and verse. The smooth mahogany tables line walls of prints and warm, soothing domes. Dim lights cast a buttery, soft glow throughout the cafe. The soft din of voices merge together in easy harmony, a tune that could only exist in a coffee shop. Easing itself through the low buzz of human expression, the voice is in my ear again. Soon, so near, I'm here. Back in the afternoon sunshine, I automatically turn toward an inconspicuous shop tucked in the shadow of a large, newer clothing shop. We pass display windows filled with brightly colored quilted bags slung across mannequins' shoulders, flowy summer dresses in every hue. My daughter comments that this is definitely a store for me, but I walk past it, drawn to the tiny shop behind it. A spark of prickling energy hits me, raising goosebumps on my arm. There's magic here. We enter the surprisingly sizable solitary room, the coolness in contrast to the heat of the outdoors. The space is filled with glass displays, containing large bowls of every crystal and stone imaginable. Lighted cases with mirrors dot the middle of the boutique. In them are hearts, mushrooms, and other shapes crafted from smooth stones of many color combinations. I pick up a pink heart and hold it in my palm. A little green toadstool sits in the middle of the next case. These two shall come home with me. The little space makes me smile. I could spend hours in here. It's so calming. Joining another gathering of patrons, we examine a case full of carved stone animals, tiny frogs, wolves, dragonflies. I see them then, the magic that calls to me. A beautiful desert jasper elephant stands proudly in the center of the lighted case. His image is reflected on 4 sides by mirrors. The 5th side, the front, open for view. The world around me disappears as I draw near the case, eyes focused only on the statue. Reaching into the case, I gingerly draw it out, feeling its energy. I just have to take this charming little pachyderm home with me. Cupping it in my hands, I hold it to my chest and whisper, "You are the one. I found you." In answer, the stone statue releases its grounding energy. Its comforting glow spreads through me, warming my body and calming my mind, forever binding our spirits. Is this the end or just the beginning? Every day is a new beginning. The Jasper elephant and I have begun a new journey of creative discovery together. The elephant, the muse, the inner child, and I, the 4 of us all working together. Sounds childish, right? With each passing day, I feel the weight of adulthood slowly lifting from my shoulders. Through writing, I have rediscovered the joy of play and the boundless possibilities of imagination. And though life will never be without its challenges, I know that as long as I have my pen in hand, my notebooks and my laptop, I will always find my way back to the world of make-believe.
Awesome, amazing. That was a beautiful excerpt.
Well, thank you.
Great work. Yeah, I see everybody's nodding their head. Yeah, it was wonderful. We're getting some hand claps. Yeah, that was awesome. Um, wow. I know this wasn't a question. I had sent some questions ahead of time, but just based off of what you shared a little bit, right, about who are you and what space you're in currently, and this real big like transition in life, right, of, going into empty nesting now and also being retired and just rediscovering yourself and what does that new space look like for you. Your story, I couldn't help but notice, right, had a lot of overlap in it. Could you maybe share a little bit more about the piece and why you went that direction, or where did that come from? Was it about you? Was it like fiction, nonfiction? Yeah.
It's fiction. So it's part of the Nudge to Write piece that we worked on. It's I feel like it's part of my journey. What brought me to um, this point in my writing path, I guess, well, in my path of life, period, right? But writing's a big part of that now. So it's part of my self-discovery. Now the activity that I wrote about in this was real. My daughter and I went shopping and I found this elephant and some other crystals and stuff in this shop. Now I embellished it a little because if I wrote it the way it really happened, it wouldn't have been not that this was necessarily exciting, but it wouldn't have been quite as exciting, right? It'd have been like, yeah, we got some coffee and we went to the shop down the street.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to try to use my words to make it not so painful to read or listen to.
Yeah, I think
It
you
was
did such.
painful.
Oh, go ahead.
It was
Oh,
not
no,
painful. It was beautiful.
Yeah, it was very beautiful.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it was great. And I love to your point of like, you fictionalize something that's a real life experience. I think a lot of times in order for writers to be able to connect with an audience who might be experiencing something similar, writing gives you that chance to have that safeguard where it's like, I don't have to specifically say exactly what's happening with me, but I can still express what's happening with me. In a way that is different, almost like creating this other persona.
So it's funny because I showed this piece of it to my daughter that I actually talk about in here, and she's like, "Mom, it didn't happen quite like that." I'm like, "It did." Here it is.
You're like, yes, it did. I love it. And, going through, because you had gotten to a lot of, I mean, you were very well versed and knowledgeable about writing and even self-publishing, but you hadn't done it yet. Could you maybe share a little bit about what was holding you back from actually publishing and what difference did the workshop series make for you in your life?
So my own insecurity and like I had mentioned in the writing, I mean, there was a time when I was very confident and I knew what I wanted and I went after it, and failure was not an option. Um, but more recently, in the last few years, my self-confidence has taken a nosedive, and I'm a self-sabotager lately. Um, and I kind of covered that up by um, researching and reading and learning, right? Because in my mind, I'm still plugged in, I'm still being creative, I'm still writing. Um, the idea of actually finishing something and then making that choice to share it or let somebody else read it terrified me. And it still does. It still does. Not only the act of publishing, because that was like a big black hole before this course. Now I'm a lot more comfortable about that. And if I have questions, I know who I can ask. But going through this course, writing is kind of an, you all know, right? It's an isolating sort of activity. It's you and your brain. So it's when you're having that conversation with yourself, you're not getting that positive feedback or
Yeah.
any kind of feedback except your own self-doubt. I've got more uplifting and positive feedback, and I gained some confidence um, and I don't know, it's the experience with everyone in the course just kind of left me feeling like I can do this, right? I've got this group of friends now um, to kind of pat me on the back and say, hey, you're doing okay, let's keep going. So I've got this encouragement now where you don't really have that before.
Yeah, I really appreciate you sharing that perspective. I mean, I experienced something similar where it was like, okay, I'm going to do this, but my first piece that I did was an anthology too. And it was for very similar reasons of like having community, having folks who could say like, I think you might want to consider looking at it this way, or it's not reading the way that I think you intended to read, or this is great, right? And that confidence boost. And so I really appreciate you sharing that process, because there's a lot of folks out there who I call them the expert, where it's like I have to know all the knowledge, I have to gather, but they never actually get into action on doing the thing, right?
Yeah,
And so they're very knowledgeable, very skilled, really talented, high achievers, but they're not actually completing the project.
I can
Um,
tell somebody else how to do it, but
yeah,
you
right.
and
Exactly.
sometimes
Exactly. My only other question is, knowing all that you know now, what is a piece of advice you wish you could go back and tell your younger self in terms of writing?
um, make the time, just do it. Face the fears, face the self-doubt, and no excuses. Just do it and have fun. Write for yourself. Um, it doesn't necessarily have to be about who else is going to see this. Just do what brings you joy. And if writing is what that is, then just do it.
I love that. That is such great advice. And do you want to tell us what you're up to now? What's next? What's going on for you next?
Well, I have set up a Ream subscription, and I have actually published my first rough draft of my first episode of my my serialized cozy mystery. Um, so I've done that. I haven't set up tiers yet or anything, but this month I'm working my way through the remaining episodes, and I will start uploading those hopefully in a few weeks. I wanna at least have a good draft of the rest of it before I set up the rest of my tiers. So
That's awesome. And then for people who don't know what Ream is specifically, could you maybe share a little bit more about that? Just so, oh, and
oh,
thank you, Tamara, for dropping into the chat the
oh,
link.
thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. So it's a subscription for authors. People compare it to Patreon, and it's set up sort of like Patreon with the tiers and um, paid tiers usually. I also have a free tier, public part of it, but it's for those super fans or family friends or whatever who want to support their artists. Um, and Ream is primarily for writers, but it's a way to connect with your readers, your fans, um, get their feedback, give them support, get support from them. So it's kind of getting your feet wet and getting some feedback. Um, with, and eventually that series that you post can also be published afterwards as well. So that's my current uh, That's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. I know I hadn't heard of Ream until I had met you, and I'm familiar with Patreon because I work with entrepreneurs and help them get started with businesses, and especially if they have, artistic projects and things like that. Patreon's great. So when you were sharing that, I was like, wow, how innovative. And I love how as authors, we get to continue to be innovative with how we share our work, how we build community, how we get feedback from folks, all of these different things that traditionally weren't available in the past. And so good on you for taking advantage of that tool and for starting to build your community that way. Yeah, so I'll make sure in the notes when we put this up on YouTube to drop your link in the notes. So if people want to check you out and continue to follow your work, they can through Ream.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And y'all that are here, if you have any questions for Tanya and for our next author, Kent, we'll do some questions towards the end. So feel free. You can always drop them in the chat if that helps you remember any questions you might have for the author. But we'll get to them at the end after Kent gets to share his excerpt and shares a little bit. So yeah, thank you so much, Tanya. It was really great to hear your piece. It was gorgeous. And your work's amazing. And I'm just very excited. I know Tamara is very excited to see where you go. Tamara, did you have anything else to share before we head over to Kent?
I just want to say congratulations. I know we've known each other for a little while, and I am excited for you to see you progress towards a career and more than a hobby, something that you really have wanted to do.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, up next we have Kent. Hi, Kent. How are you?
Hey,
Hey, so excited to have you as a published author. Congratulations.
who would have thought?
You did it. I remember you shared this is something you've had on your heart, a desire you've had for over 30 years. Is that right?
Very long time, yes.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about you and um just yeah, your writing style maybe.
My name is Kent Deslongchamp, native of Colorado, third generation, so that's kind of crazy. This I've been writing, I can remember in like elementary school, and you'd have that 10 minutes before class, and they'd hand you your little Indian notebook and writing with your number two pencil, and everybody else is talking and yapping, but I was always into writing, and uh, throughout my whole life, it's kind of been my way of getting through moments in life that kind of take you down roads that you haven't traveled down, or maybe those emotional moments when you can't express clearly what you're thinking, so you write it down in a book or journal or whatever, and it's been one of those things that I've had a part of me my entire life, pretty much. The project that I kind of been working on for over 30 years started out as an assignment in college and turned into a video project that's on YouTube, and also a writing project. And it's kind of gone from TV series type of writing to a complete 2-volume book set. So kind of crazy there. Yeah.
That's awesome. And I'm just curious before we get to your excerpt, you bringing up, the fact that you went from writing for TV, right, which is very different, doing script writing, to
Yep, it
now,
is.
yeah, now thinking about a book. There might be some folks out there who have a very similar journey to you with writing and like, oh, I was doing it in this fashion. I, was doing scripts, or I was doing more like blogs or whatever. So can you maybe share a little bit more about that process or what the differences have been for you between script writing, and then
It kind of started out as an assignment, just like the workshop, and through time developed, because as I developed the characters and the storyline and the way that I wanted to communicate, uh, it turned out that a book was the best way to do that, because it allowed you to go in and get more information, develop the characters more fully. Kind of had a little bit of fun with the book because I tell a story through a dog's eyes. It's kind of the viewpoint. So like when you need to say something that a person might not say, or thought that a person might get a little bit weary about saying, or some opinion about, I give it to the dog and the dog can say it, and that way it's okay.
Yeah, I love that. And it reminds me a lot of like like what Tanya's doing with fictionalizing a really um personal, real story, right? With you, you're just doing it in a complete different way. Where I love how you said if it's something that a human might be afraid to say, it's like, oh, well, the dog could say it. The dogs see everything, right? Like who knows what's going on in their minds and what secrets they keep because
Exactly.
they see it all. So I love that. I think it's such a great concept. Whenever you're ready, why don't you jump into
Yeah.
reading your
Cool.
excerpt?
So this is it's called like Tanya said, we did a nudge to write, and then we had assignments that are also in the book. This is one of my nudge to write things, resonating with readers. So with such conviction in every sentence I craft, I aim to resonate with readers who identify themselves as LGBTQ plus. Those who struggle to be heard or to be seen or to be recognized in a world that is fast-paced, filled with filters, selective hearing, and tunnel vision. By giving vivid descriptions and creating strong-minded characters who challenge systems and question values, I give these struggles with identity and self-love a positive image to instill pride and acceptance. I believe that storytelling has the power to break through all adversity that we may encounter in life. It provokes empowerment and resolution to any struggle and creates a meaningful and universal connection between love. The heart of my literary endeavors are values such as diversity and truth, compassion, integrity, peace, and happiness. Each story takes us on some political, economic, or human concern that is prevalent at the time of my writing. And through the characters, the plots, and the themes, I create a complete story with the power to uplift, to sound off, to unify, and open the eyes to their concerns. Through this, we can bring about a change in ourselves and each other and in the world. My writing is not just a craft, but me putting my heart, my soul, and myself out there for all to see. In this way, if one person finds whatever they need to begin to love, to be heard, to stand proud, and to find their voice, then for me, that written work served the purpose that I set out to do. Because the nudge to write chose to write in a style that I do and communicate in the way that I do, I'm literally, and all pun intended there, changing the world one person at a time. I can think of no other creation on this earth that shapes and affects solely from my input and my impact, influenced and affected solely from my actions. That is why I write. That is why I embarked on this workshop, to find my voice, to amplify my voice, and to resonate for all to hear. And that is why I will write until the last day on this earth. So that is my excerpt from the Nudge Tribe.
Awesome, amazing. Great work.
Thanks.
I don't know if you could see everybody, but folks are clapping and cheering. Great job. And
Thanks.
that was such a wonderful piece. I really like how you talked about this purpose that you have and the impact you can make. Can you maybe share a little bit more on why you selected the purpose? Because I know that's something really deep to you, especially with supporting LGBTQ plus communities.
So the reason why I my whole life pretty much has been identification, self-identification. In my younger days, as a child, you grew up with all these constraints and things that ways that people told you to be, things that you were supposed to do a certain way. And through writing, I did a lot of escapism. I did a lot of fantasy. I did a lot of becoming something that I wasn't in real life. And so I've always tried to take on those. The book that I'm writing is called The Slice of Souls, and it takes on issues that were happening in Denver, Colorado in 1994 and 1998. And back in that day, that's when Amendment 2 happened in Colorado, which took away the rights of somebody because of their self-identification. And then it went before the Supreme Court and actually got denied, and they had to rescind it. So I try and use a voice with these things that happen in real life, and take on through a character that is much more out there and much more full than the people that me in real life or other people in the story. And so therefore you can kind of take them down a fantasy road that you couldn't have if you just wrote like a biography type of story. So
That's amazing. And I really appreciate this approach too. I don't think a lot of people realize that as writers, we're able to your point, you're not doing a biography, but you're able to share some historical fiction, right? So it's based off of things that really happened. So readers who weren't around during that time period, readers who, may not have the same perspective, but can gain some perspective of a different viewpoint, things like that. It gives them that opportunity to do that. And I'm a big advocate of civic engagement, regardless of what someone's political viewpoints are. I think as humans, we should be able to use our voices to speak up. And so I think it's really great that you're also using your writing as a tool for that civic engagement as well. It looks different. It's not just like going to the Capitol or voting. This is through writing. And so that's really cool that that's the approach that you have with what you're doing.
and the writing style is so I discovered in the workshop that my writing style through expressive and exploratory and essential values are found in creative nonfiction is what it's called. And this genre indulges the blending of the imaginary with the reality, blurring the lines between fact and fiction. It takes and opens an opportunistic arena for creativity and literary freedoms to instill intimate personal reflections and embrace our differences. In the use of enhanced dramatizations, an unfiltered space is kind of opened up, and I can create unique storylines on subjects and scenarios, enlivened by perplexing and preposterous characters, and then it can unfold. And this creative nonfiction, with its unrestricted values and writing style, is a trigger for me for the potential to entice and empower and inspire the desire to find fulfillment in our lives. And so if the ultimate goal was complete transfiguration of mind, body, and soul is achieved, and to think that this was sparked by and inspired by my written works, well, that to me is the greatest honor and that I could ever hope to accomplish as a writer. So,
Oh, amazing. You're definitely going to be inspiring people. So I hope you know and feel fulfilled by that. Um, I'm curious. I know during the writing process, you faced some challenges. Some you had shared, like even emotionally, right? Some of the challenges of going through the process of editing. And I think this is really important to share with folks because they think that, not everybody, but a lot of people think, okay, I'm going to write it and then it's going to just come out and that's it. Like that's going to be it. But sometimes you do have to go back to the board and edit and change things and rearrange things, and that can be very taxing. Could you share a little bit more of your experience with that and how did you work through it?
yeah. So the greatest challenge for me with the workshop, and easy peasy question, I'm telling you, was that editing process. This is the first time that I've ever, in my 50 plus years of writing, had someone edit or correct or change or offer suggestion or remark upon. And I'm telling you, I went to the first editing email and I saw 83 changes. And I went, okay. Clicked it on. Oh, take a space away from a period. Easy. It's the next one. So the next one was to change a word and or make a suggestion. And so what happened to me was boom, down the rabbit hole I went. And it wreaked havoc on me, I'm telling you. An hour later, I'm sitting there looking at the same sentence on the computer, and I've rewritten this over and over and over again. And then I'm back at the original sentence and decide that I don't want to make that change. And that's 3 of 83. Woo. So that process was exhausting, and it really spent me, and all my energy was drained and everything like that. And I realized that if I ever, or when I shouldn't say if, when I get to that point in the real book, I think I'm going to have somebody do that process for me because it was way, way, way too much for me.
Yeah. And I appreciate you sharing that because and being so candid with it because that is so fair. I mean, I'm dyslexic and I knew off the bat when I was writing my first solo book, oh God, you're gonna have to hire someone girl to like read through this and make sure spelling and grammar is on point, but also the sentence structure is making sense. And it can be sometimes discouraging where it's like, oh, but I really liked how this came out. And then to get that feedback and it's like, oh man, like now what? And to sit there and be, and to work through that. And so I'm happy. Even though it was a frustrating experience, I'm happy you had that experience because it sounds like it gave you insights into what supports you need to move forward. And that's what I think Tamara and I really wanted from this experience for you all as authors is okay, now that I've experienced this, now I know what supports I'm going to need to put in place and plan for my other projects so I don't get discouraged and just give
Yes.
up. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's great. And I'm curious, what piece of advice would you give to someone who wants to self-publish but hasn't yet?
Let's see. Well, I think the biggest thing, the workshop for me was it was a milestone in my life. And it's something that I will never ever forget. It actually altered my very being. It's kind of weird. Each morning I look in the mirror and I stare back at this reflection that's a version of me, kind of like a vision of me, but kind of unfamiliar with because this reflective self is soulful and hopeful and full of life and inspiring and determined and fresh and vibrant and alive and aware. And those are things that I either haven't been in a while or forgot about in my life. And I look at the mirror and there's my body and everything like that. But the energy and the essence of this unforeseen, of these unseen factors, I'm still kind of coming to know and understand. And they all were triggered because the intent of the workshop was to find my voice and to amplify my voice. And both, I have to say, were pretty easily achieved. It's within all the other discoveries that I found the most significant thing, which led me down a journey of transformation of my voice and the transfiguration of my life. It's not the same. I'm an altered self being. I am altered with self-awareness, self-expression, self-enrichment, self-esteem, and selflessness. The simple intent in the workshop was to self-publish, and it turned into a magnanimous impact of self-proliferation. And for this, I am beyond words and express my most sincere gratitude to both of you for having this experience and allowing me to be a participant in it. And yeah.
Wow, that was cool. I know Tamara's like over here, like I could see her just like beaming with,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, it's what an incredible, what an incredible testament, not only to the work that you did, but what you're taking with you and being able to do with it. I think it's phenomenal. And I know I love your social justice, your purpose in all of this. And I know that you will be your writing, your impact will be what you needed, when you were experiencing challenges or difficult times, because you have such a good heart and such a pure purpose. And I know you're going to achieve that with your writing, and I'm really excited to see it.
Thank you.
yeah. Why don't you tell us what's next? Like what you shared Slice of Souls, you're working on it, but um
Yeah.
anything else in the works or any way you would like for people to stay connected with you?
Yeah, so I after going through the workshop and stuff like that, and learning that uh, the after stuff of when you write, it's a little more complicated than I thought. And there are some arenas in my book that I'm kind of investigating and figuring out how to get through in order to get it published. But yes, Slice of Souls is going to come to be one way or the other, which will end that 30, 40, 50-year process that the workshop has now kind of put back into play for me. It kind of got put back on a shelf for a while, and now it's like in the forefront of becoming again, which is great. It's great. In this process, because I found out of this voice that I have inside, and the focus on the LGBTQ community and stuff like that. Uh, I'm taking a look at. I've been writing in journals like since I was 12 or whatever, and I've actually kind of gotten the idea to publish all of my journals together, and I think that would be a really great way to communicate to the LGBTQ community, especially because they can see the process of going from an 18-year-old to a 62-year-old man, and in a way that no other person could do but myself in my own writing about myself. So that's one of the projects. And then the other one is kind of like it's a self-help kind of like course that I designed when the political factors that were happening in the last few years started to really, really get to me, and watching the news every day and stuff like that. So I've written a self-help course that's about 36 to 38 weeks long. It gives the instructor how to do the class. It has the homework assignments. It has the thinking process behind it. It's based off of 4 other books that we go through, and I use to highlight the method that I use to kind of take when change happens in your life and you don't have control about it. How do you make that turn around to be a positive experience for you, and how do you learn from that so that it doesn't happen again? And that's kind of what the book's about. So those 3 projects are in the making.
Well, we are very excited to see that come to fruition, Kent, and we hope that you'll keep sharing with us. So I guess to close out a little bit, part of this is that we have also built a community. And maybe Sydney, you can talk a little bit about our Halo community.
Yeah, so Halo it's almost like Meetup, although Meetup is very much geared towards let's meet in person physically. We recognize that not everybody's able to physically meet up all of the time. And so Tamara, and I know you and Tanya actually had been on Halo for a minute, and you brought it forth when we were meeting about the workshop. And so we're creating an online community. It's an opportunity for us to gather and do like monthly prompts and kind of just have fun. That's something we learned throughout the workshop, is that it's great, even if you have your own style, to challenge yourself in other styles, and to really push yourself outside of the box as an author. Um, So we'll have monthly prompts. It's a really great space. I know we've already been sharing like events coming up. I know there's totally unrelated to Tamara and I. There's a author vendor fair happening in Colorado Springs in a couple of weeks. And so we found that out and shared it on there. There's just different things that are going on in the community, and we wanted a space where we could all stay informed. That wasn't necessarily through like Facebook, because we know not everybody's on Facebook. So yeah, so check it out. You'll be able to keep up with any like workshops that we host. You'll be able to support each other. If you wanted to get feedback on anything, if you wanted accountability partners, we're hoping that you all can take some initiative to saying like, hey, I want to write 5 chapters this month. Can anybody else be my accountability partner that might want to, even if it's through Zoom, sit down together and work for an hour a week or something like that. So yeah, just it's a space for building community. So feel free to check it out. I know Tamara just dropped it into the chat, although I don't think everyone could see it, so I'm going to reshare
Oh,
it.
no.
It's okay. I just reshared it. So yeah, feel free to check it out. Join. It's free to join. And we would love to have you on there.
Thank you so much. And another part of that is that we encourage you to reach out to each other, as Sydney was saying, and we're available to you as part of that. We want to make this a solid community for everybody. And something that we've talked a little bit about, the Nudge to Write, the book that we produced from this workshop. It's an anthology. It has the Nudge to Write writing prompts, but it also has some exercises that we did within the class. And it is free to download, and it will be available to purchase in a print version. Sydney, where are those available currently?
Yeah, so currently they are available through, if you want a print copy, through Lulu. Although it is up for review for global distribution. So we anticipate that it will be available on things like Amazon and Barnes and Noble and even like Target and Walmart.com. So it should be everywhere soon online to purchase. However, for now, if you want a physical copy, you can actually reach out to each of these authors. They have some copies, and you can purchase one through them. They might even sign it for you. Or you can buy one directly through Lulu. And I'm sending an email out with that information. Also for YouTube, I'll make sure to drop the links in the description. And then I did go ahead and post to the chat the copy to the free ebook version.
Beautiful. When is the next workshop?
Yeah, so we're looking at the fall. I'm really excited. I should know the exact dates. Do you know the exact dates off the top of your head?
It is September. Let's see.
Sorry, I was like, I should know these dates.
I should know them too. Let's see. So we've got September and 14th and 15th will be the writing portion of the workshop. It'll be a weekend, usually from 10 to 3. And then the self-publishing part of the workshop will be in October, the 12th and the 13th.
Yeah,
And we have that gap in there so that we get to, our authors have an opportunity to write their pieces for self-publishing workshop, and then we get to reference that through that publishing piece
And
of it.
the editing, don't forget the editing.
Yes, and the editing. A round or two of editing. So I'm excited about that. Let's see what else we've got going on. Sydney, did you have anything else that, Tanya or Kent, is there anything else that you want to add before we kind of close this out?
I have a thank you for you guys that I wrote. So I definitely want to express this to you guys. Okay. I have to say thank you. Sydney and Tanya, you guys have Tamara made this incredible, influential, inspirational, and impactful energy. Your support systems as coaches, mentors, teachers, the sharing of your poignant presence, the artistry of your flow, the influential skills that you guys both brought, the visual mastery that both of you so freely presented in every single class, made you the superheroine women that you are, along with the gravity of your actions and the manifestations and the milestones that you created in my life. And as I said, the transfiguration of myself into something that I don't even know anymore. I bow to each of you in gratitude, with thankfulness and wonderment. I thank the universe for bringing each of you into my life. This past weekend, with the celebration of Easter and all that stuff and the resurrection of that and stuff like that, I feel like you three inspired my own resurrection. And I am forever grateful that the direction that I'm going forward with is springing gaily forward, just like the time did a few weeks ago. So I thank you. It's been an extreme honor. And if I ever could feel this joy, the world, if everybody could feel the joy that you guys brought into my life, the world would be such an incredible place. So I am the luckiest man on this planet because of this workshop, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kent. It was a pleasure having you and Tanya both in class, and you are a poet, sir. Like, thank you.
Steve, did you have a question?
Oh, I see Tanya though trying to speak, but you're muted.
Okay.
You're on mute.
You're muted.
Tanya, you're muted.
I'm right.
There we go.
No, I was muted. See, I don't have a voice. I didn't want to cut Steve off, but I didn't prepare anything, and as usual, I'm shooting from the hip. But Sydney and Tamara, you guys put so much into this workshop, so much time before, and I've watched you guys, what you went through after to put all of this together, the nudge to write the book, holding our hands through this whole process. You two are amazing, warm, and the encouragement that you guys offer, I thank you. It was a wonderful experience. And Kent, I gotta say, you, my brother, are such a kind-hearted, warm, beautiful person. One of the things I want to point out to you, if I may, is the way you write, the way you express yourself. You can take a difficult, sometimes controversial topic, and you can turn it into an uplifting, encouraging sort of thing. I thought I had my words right. Through your personal experience and your warm-heartedness, you are uplifting without being divisive or exclusionary, right? You have that voice that invites a person in to experience your own experience without feeling like an outsider, right? So if that makes sense, sorry, nobody edited that for me, so I need to take that off to the editor, and maybe we'll try again next week. I don't know, but
No, that was beautiful too, Tanya.
It was.
Thank you. Oh, questions. That was the only other thing. Steve, were you gonna say something? I think they said
I had more like comments than direct questions. But one thing I wanted to say was that I don't know any of you except Tamara, but since what you have said about her has also been my experience. Between her and Fiona J, they walked me down the road of self-publishing. So I just kind of wanted to say, don't be afraid of the virtue of ignorance when you start this process, because if you knew when you started everything that you were going to have to learn and all of the things that were going to happen along the path, you might not ever start. So it's having those blinders on and being ignorant is a virtue. but yeah, Tamara definitely got me through that. The other thing, Kent, I want to encourage you to embrace the pain of editing. Uh, it's not fun, but it's definitely part of the learning process. And it seems like every time I've worked with an editor, you get that, like you say, that manuscript back with 80 changes, and it's just numbing. And I usually do, it sounds like kind of what you did, was go through and do the simple ones, you know, oh, you know, put a comma here, get rid of the extra period, you know, don't forget to close your quotes. And then I would walk away from it thinking about some of the more substantive things and grumbling about them, about how perfect it was when I sent it in. I don't know why they don't see that. But and then like the next day I come back and say, yeah, they're probably right. But at the end of the day, of course, the work is your own, and it's up to you whether or not you accept those changes or not. And you know, you definitely have the freedom to reject them, and I've done that. So it's all part of the journey. And hopefully, if you get a good editor, they're going to make you into a better writer. Kicking and screaming and in pain, but a better writer.
That's really great advice, Steve. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yes, great advice from a seasoned author who has self-published several, five or six books.
Five now, six is. I've been suffering with some health issues for the last year, just about. So I've got the sixth one is still hanging. It's setting right now at about just shy of 90,000 words, so almost done.
Wow.
And it's just pushing it over the finish line has taken more time than I want it to, just because dealing with the health issues. It's, yeah, not to go into details, but going through chemo and those kind of things where you get this kind of fuzzy chemo brain where nothing makes sense to you anymore. But the end of that road is in sight. So hopefully this year we'll get that one done, and I'll be getting a cover from Fiona, and tomorrow I'll be hopefully getting a manuscript to you late this year for your brilliant interior layout work.
Thank you. I am glad to see you back in the writing community. You've been on my mind.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Sydney, did you have any closing thoughts? Anything you'd like to share?
No, just thank you so much, everybody who's here. I know it's tons of thank yous, but thank you to the authors. You all showed up for yourselves. Like Tamara and I can do things all day long and, you know, show up as we can, as authentically for ourselves. But if you don't show up for yourself, then it doesn't matter. It's not, you know what I mean? Like, it's not a good use of your money or time, and you each thoroughly invested in yourselves. And so I want to say thank you and congratulations. And Tamara, was awesome working with you. I really loved our partnership in this, and just getting to see how empowered folks are leaving. And thanks to everybody who came today to share. You know, thank you, Steve, for jumping on and sharing your perspective as a seasoned author. And for everybody who's here and who's watching this recording, you know, thank you, and stay connected. That's all I have to share. Do you have any closing thoughts?
I just, you know, I left both of the workshops that we did feeling so inspired, and it was so much about, it was collaborating with you, it was working with the authors, the excitement, the just the potential and the future that, you know, everyone was kind of seeing out of this. And it was a wonderful thing to experience. And I can't wait to see these journeys continue and to continue to hear about them in the Halo community. Sydney, you were amazing to work with. And I look forward to the next one.
And Tanya, my yin yang woman, I tell you, we are together. We conquered the world this time. We did. We reached some places that both of us, I know, were never thought we would go to. And so to you, my heartfelt love.
Beautiful.
Well, thank you, everyone. Thanks for being here. And with that being said, we're going to close on out and shut down the Zoom recording. But I hope you all stay well, stay connected, and continue writing and following your desires as authors. All right. Bye.